Aloha and shalom, everybody. I would love to share my book with you today, as I realize I have not made a video dedicated to sharing a little bit about my book. So first of all, I'm going to be sitting here, so appropriate for introducing my book, The Royal Path. And I'm broadcasting here from the beautiful Sedona, Arizona. Sun is going down. My book was written with the goal of showing people that the tarot is not just a deck of cards. Originally, in ancient Egypt, the tarot, these characters and their archetypal wisdom were inscribed on golden plates, and they were a technology or a system of guidance for this ancient civilization. And what's more is that this is a story that reflects the original story of creation. It's a story that's written in our DNA. It's beyond the cards, it's beyond the golden plates. It's in your heart. So with that said, the very first part of my story is called the Storytellers Activation. And the reason I started it off this way is to kind of get your storyteller hat on so that you can remember the storyteller that you are, what the real story is about, what the art of storytelling is about. Ultimately, Source, Creator, God, Great Spirit is the greatest storyteller, and we are created in that image. So let's begin and activate this original archetype. The Storyteller's Activation. Storytelling has been an essential part of cultural tradition all across the world from time immemorial. Members of each culture or tribe would be assigned the role of storyteller, taking on the responsibility of passing on precious information to the people of the present, and through them, the generations of the future. Historic records consist not only of books and writings, but also many other artistic mediums such as song, dance, pottery, drawings, and weaving. There are so many ways to tell a story. The narration need not be limited to words alone. In fact, the more creative and visual the narrative, the more empowering and exciting the story becomes. The beings who were selected to uphold the sacred role of storyteller were revered for their ability to deliver divine information in such a masterly way. These beings were chosen due to a combination of skills such as expansive imagination, animated expression, and heightened creativity. Most importantly, these storytellers were distinct in that they often had a radiant aura, resulting from a particularly developed intellect and sense of spirituality. These unique beings exhibited profound connectivity to the world around them, but also the world within. You may recall the classic Native American storyteller dolls. These sculptures usually depict a mother with a wide open mouth, surrounded by a large group of children. The reason it's typically a woman and not a man is due to the archetypal message that the feminine force is the intuitive and creative nature within each being. This right brain approach to storytelling is key, whether the narrator is man or woman. The reason for the sculpture including an abundance of children is to symbolize the importance of preserving the message within the story for many generations to come. The Native American storyteller dolls are a representation of the importance of transmission of sacred messages into the future. Storytellers were often oracles, psychic mediums, shamans, and religious leaders. They were highly regarded as particularly important beings in society. Vyasa became the title for Indian oral storytellers due to it being the name of the legendary author of some of the most important works of literature in early Hinduism. Vyasa means sitting on high table. The term Magid comes from Jewish mysticism, originally referring to an angel who would manifest its voice through the mouth of a chosen one, who would then deliver the mystical secrets of the Kabbalah. It's no surprise that many of these storytellers were appointed as court officials to share their divine transmissions with the royalty and upper class of society. Tarot, which means royal path, is an ancient story which has been told in many different forms since the beginning of time. It is a story so old that it's written into our very DNA. Tarot is a tale which personifies the pattern of creation that lies within all things. It's a story which represents the forces of polarity in their multidimensional expressions and operations as they continuously transform and evolve. To understand the purpose of tarot, we may look to the meaning of the consonants, letters T and R, ta, ra. In the Egyptian alphabet, T is symbolized by a loaf of bread, or mana, spiritual nourishment. The R is symbolized by a mouth, signifying the consumption of the mana. Here we interpret the significance of the story of the royal path, or tarot, as a technology to feed the soul. Let's look at another example. If we take the sounds R and P from the English words royal path and look to the ancient Hebrew symbols for each of these letters, we get the head and the mouth. This paints a picture of telling and hearing a story, head and mouth. Perhaps from the mouth of God to the head of human. Or we may like to see it as a story told, mouth, about the beginning, head of creation. There are many ways to divinely interpret the meaning. We've come to understand that the role of storyteller is more than just someone who recites a series of words. What an honor it is for each of us to have the opportunity to fill the role of storyteller of the most ancient story of all time, the story of creation, through the royal path. Whether you proceed to read the rest of this story or not, this story is one that runs through your veins. It's a story that will continue to tell itself through you and through all of creation until the never end of time. It's my hope that this particular account of the royal path will serve as inspiration for you to discover your own creative ability to both tell the story as well as bring it to life. Stories in their best presentation are stimulating and engaging. The story I'm going to share with you is presented in such a way that it is instantly activating upon reading it. As you navigate this sequence of archetypal messages, you will feel a connection to each one in an intimate way. Something inside of you will resonate deeply, stirring the awakening of ancient memory, timeless wisdom, and prophecy. So that's the very beginning of my book. It kind of prepares you to receive the rest of the story. However, following that little chapter, there is another part that's actually called Preparing for the Story, and it gives you some practical tips and tools to best create that space of receptivity to get into the rest of the story, which of course begins with 0, the access point, the Fool. So if you are interested in hearing more and you are ready to activate the storyteller within you and receive this oldest story, the story of the beginning of creation, as it's being told through you, reach out, private message me. I would love to send you a copy from my hands to yours. I always include a handmade bookmark. I use vintage decks or just random tarot or oracle decks, and I decorate them, and I include them in each book as a little bookmark for you as a gift. My book is also available on Amazon. You go to Amazon.com and you type in The Royal Path Activating, and it comes right up. The full title is The Royal Path Activating the Archetypal Alliance Within. But all you need to type in is The Royal Path Activating, and it'll come up. However, I do like to send them straight from my hands to yours. So again, if you're interested and you enjoyed the Storytellers Activation and you're ready to go further into that activation, reach out. Shalom.